All right, so I'm sure you're wondering, what is the point of unit rate? So we can use unit rate to find missing data, missing information, the next thing in the pattern, things like if the car is traveling 60 miles per hour, how far does it go in 10 hours, things like that. So let's get started. So we're going to say that we are going to apply unit rate to find missing values. Okay. So we have this one situation. A car travels 90 miles in 2 hours. How far can it travel in 5 hours? Okay. So we're going to start by writing some ratios. Okay. So we're going to line up the rates by unit. So I'm going to line them up miles to hours. Okay. And the first one it gives us is 90 miles in 2 hours. And then it also tells us 5 hours. So that's going to go in the hours spot. I don't know how many miles. So in math, we use variables. Let's use m for miles to hold the place of a number that we don't know. Okay. So what I can do, okay, is we could figure out if I take 5 divided by 2, that's a factor of 2.5. So somehow I'm multiplying or dividing. Okay, so 2 and 2.5 to get to 5 is getting bigger, so I'm going to multiply. So I need to do the same thing on this side, times 2.5. Okay, and when I do 90 times 2.5, you get 225. We're talking about miles, right? That's why it's helpful to line them up, okay? So some notes. So like we talked about, to be proportional, that unit rate, the rate of change, needs to be the exact same on both sides of that of those ratios of that proportion. Okay. All right, another way would be to use the unit rate. So if we travel 90 miles in 2 hours, you always divide by what you want one of. So to find the mile distance per hour, we're going to divide by 2. 90 divided by 2 is 45. Okay, so 45 miles per hour. And I kind of prefer this one over this method because, you know, we might not see that it's times 2.5. Okay. Then, if they go 45 miles in 1 hour, to figure out the distance in 5 hours, I'm going to take our unit rate, 45 miles per hour, times the number of hours, 5, is also 225 miles. So you can take the unit rate times the number of hours to get you to the other side. Okay. And then the most common method, this is what I use every time so that I don't have to, you know, do an extra step, is setting it up as a proportion, right? So those values of the ratios to check if they're proportional, and then solving for the variable. Okay, so we're going to start by writing the ratios. Our first one we have is 90 miles, to 2 hours. And then we don't know how many miles to 5 hours. So in the place of the value I don't know, I'm going to put a variable, m. Okay. And then I'm going to set them up as proportions. Or you can say fractions. Okay. So 90 over 2. And we know they're proportional because we're setting them up to be proportional, equals m over 5. Okay. So we're using a variable, right? That letter that represents a number we don't know to hold the place of that number we don't know. All right, then we're going to cross multiply. Let me get some more colors to color code. All right, so we're going to take 90 times 5. And we know that that's equal to 2 times m. Okay. 90 times 5 is 450. Equals 2 times m. I messed up my color coding, y'all. So 2 times m. Okay. So what I can do here is divide by 2. Divide by what's in front of the variable. You get that 225 miles is equal to m. All right, I'm going to do one from the practice this way so you can see another way like this. Maybe. These pages are so hard to turn. All right, let's do number 8 together because this one's kind of the most word heavy. All right, the currency rate from the US to the UK is $6 in the US is equal to 546 pounds in the UK. So changing from one money system to the other. So let's set up our ratios as the amount in the US to the amount in the UK. So the first one, $6 in the US is equal to 5.46 pounds in the UK. So our first ratio is 6 to 5.46. Okay, and we want to know how many US dollars is 14.8 pounds worth. So that's a UK measurement. Okay, and then I don't know what goes here, right? And this one, mentally computing, how do we multiply from 5.46 to 14.8? Not super easy. Okay, so I'm going to put a variable, we'll use x this time, in the place of the number I don't know, and then I'm going to set them up as fractions. So, wrong one. Our first one as a fraction is 6 over 5.46. Then the second one is x over 14.8. We're just setting them up as fractions. And then we're going to cross multiply. 6 times 14.8. We're going to set it equal to 5.46 times the number we don't know, x. Use my calculator to help me. Zoom out now. Oops. 6 times 14.8 is 88.8. Okay. Equals 5.46 times something we don't know, x. So to solve for that, I'm going to divide by 5.46. And we get not a super nice number. 16.26373. We'll stop there. Our instructions say round to 2 decimal places. So here's my decimal, 1, 2 after the decimal. Look next door. That number is not 5 or bigger, it's 4 or less. So the one we underlined gets to rest. So it's going to stay the same. So $16.26. So if I go to the UK and I say I have 14.8 pounds, that's going to be equal to $16.26 in US money. So, real life stuff. And we round it because it's money. Money always rounds to 2 decimal places. All right, so there you go. You got the rest of the time. Do the practice on your own. Okay, you can pick one of the methods. You don't have to do all 3 of these every time. Okay, so I think personally, these 2, finding the unit rate, then multiplying, and setting up fractions and multiplying, those make the most sense to me. Because again, I wouldn't have seen the factor that we're multiplying by in that money example. So you don't have to use every single method every time. You get to pick which one makes the most sense to you.